Hello and welcome to our first web session for the Alpha Business Line in 2021. My name is Michael Marks. I'm your guide today and the product manager of Business Line. Our agenda of today includes a lot of helpful things that will make your life easier to work with the product, and we're very proud to present them to you. We will have a few enhancements on search things, on how to handle things like billing addresses, how the presentation of things in the GUI, and larger enhancements for the calendar view in AdSuite Market. We will come to the details later. Let's start with a new feature for the logo search. As an experienced user with AdSuite Enterprise, you may know this functionality already, but now it's also available in AdSuite Market. If you are looking for a specific item, a logo item, you can now use a full text search, and this full text search will go through all available folders, containers, like your customer logos or what kind of material is in the order, or some logo pools, and it will find also parts of a name. Like in our example, you see ring, and the results are also where ring is just a part of the name of the file. So pretty easy to use, and you don't need to take care if you know the name exactly, just a part of the name is enough. The next thing I want to show to you is an enhancement for order confirmations. In the past, you just saw the last sent order confirmation, and now we have a history here to be seen. And you also have the possibility to repeat or resending an order confirmation. In our case, we will create a new order confirmation sent by email. You see here we use a template for this. You can enhance it. And after you send this order confirmation again to the customer, you will see here the result that now we have two order confirmations. You see the date and the time when they are sent. And you see that you can now repeat or resending both of the order confirmations. So you also have the access to an older order confirmation. We invited invoice splitting groups in the new version, in one of the new versions. I think this is for the latest version of January. We call it invoice splitting groups. So before we go into the details, you can configure invoice splitting groups now on the key classes, and you can name them whatever you like, and you can define as much as you like. In our example here, we define two splitting groups for daily newspapers and for magazines. This is just an example. So you can use the splitting groups in the production structure on the level of editions, which means all kind of editions, so single editions or combinations, has now the availability that you can group them into specific invoice groups. And if you create an order now, the program will check if the positions of the order combine one or more splitting groups. Let's see how it works. In this case, we have an order with two positions which belong to different splitting groups, or maybe just one belongs to a splitting group and the other not. This means that the positions on this order will never appear on one invoice. And this overrules the setting that is maybe set on the customer level. So if you have set up a configuration on the customer level that all order positions will be combined to one invoice. This setting will overrule this. So if you have an order with more than one invoice splitting group, then they will not appear on one invoice. So pretty easy to configure, pretty easy to use, and has a great outcome. We did two things for the handling of addresses. One thing is that when you create a new address, in our case a billing address, then you can copy the address itself from the main address. So if the address itself is pretty similar to the main address, then you don't have to retype it. Instead, you can just copy it from the main address, and then if you like, you can edit it. In our case, we just edited the name too of the address, so not the real street address. So the street address is still the same, but we did an enhancement in the name too here. So it makes it easier for you to create new addresses if they are more or less similar, the same. And now, if you create a new order for a customer with more than one billing address, the system can be set up to ask you which of the addresses should be used for this order. So you can configure this as a warning or just a question, or you can just ignore it if you would like to. But in our case, we get a hint that there is more than one billing address, and we can choose of either the main address or one of the two billing addresses that are available, which should be used specifically for this order. Another new enhancement is that we now have the ability to show HTML documents from the application. Mostly this will be used for emails which are imported in one of the containers, but it can be used for any kind of HTML documents. If there is an HTML document in one container, then you see the red lighted icon here, and if you press on the icon, the HTML document will be opened in another tab. So you don't have to close this tab to go back. You can just go back to your AdSuite Market tab and work wherever you were working on. You can open different documents at the same time. They will all appear in a separate tab, so you can see them all at the same time or parallel to each other. Then we made a small enhancement which may be very useful for you. We decided to put the current context you're working on and the office you're assigned to in the title area of AdSuite Market. So if you are a user which may work in more than one context at a time, this is very helpful. You always know in which context you're working on at the moment. And you also see whether you are assigned to Office or not. The last thing I want to show to you is an enhancement for the calendar in AdSuite Market. This is specifically made for theme supplements. We made the experience that our customers are selling more and more theme supplements, and therefore it may be confusing for a person who works with AdSuite Market which theme supplement is taking place on which specific day. And now you have the availability to search for theme supplements, and the result is for a specific part of the name and for all dates, publishing dates for a supplement in the future. This means, in our case, you see we have a specific week here, but the result that we found for our search string represents also theme supplements which have publishing dates in the future, like in the beginning of February, so in the next week, the week after next week, and so on. So if you are in the calendar in the wrong week or in the wrong month, this makes no difference. You will find whatever you're looking for. And now it would be a pity if you find the theme supplements in the list and then you have to go to the right week into the calendar to use the booking function that is available. And therefore, we implemented the booking function, the direct booking function, also in the items of the list, of the search list. So it has the same functionality whether you find it over the search or you find an item directly into the calendar. You can right click on it and then you can book an order directly on the supplement. So we think this is a great enhancement and makes your work way easier if you have a lot of theme supplements at more or less the same time period. Last but not least, I want to mention that we have a questionnaire out. We sent you this by email. If you haven't received it yet, then just contact us and we will send it to you. This is important for us because at the moment we are planning what we will be focusing on for the year 21. And you can take part here. So you can tell us what specific topics are important for you. And what's maybe not so important for you. So I would strongly recommend and ask you to take part here and tell us what are your favorite topics for this year, and then we will try to implement them in our agenda that you will see the results. So at the end, I would like to thank you for taking your time to watch our videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye so far.